It's about time I bring up the crow looking over my right shoulder. His name is Donovan, and, in the past few years, has been my companion as I write. Don't mind the judgmental stare, he does that to everyone. Me especially. I can't get a single page done without hearing how I could have worded certain paragraphs better or had more vivid descriptions in other places. Sometimes all I get is a single caw of distaste. Now I know you're thinking, crows can't talk, and you'd be right, but Donovan is far from the average crow. Aside from being something of an asshole, he has a lot going on behind those crimson eyes. If you listen closely, and if you're lucky, maybe you can hear Donovan tell his own story.
No creature remembers being born. Every living thing simply exists, unless they're human and lucky enough to have that pivotal moment of conscious awakening. Even then, recalling the moment they fell into the world from their mother's womb is impossible. It is no different for me. I was simply born and existed, fed and drank to survive, flew from danger, and slept in a nest high in the trees. Nothing was ever going to change. Until I was born a second time and had the realization only humans can ever have, becoming aware that I was alive. Life and death tend to mix in this world, and my second birth only came because of my first demise. It was in no way spectacular. A harsh winter came and food became too scarce, the cold chilling me to my bones and ultimately ending my life as a normal crow. I do not remember how it came, but all the same, it did. That would have been the end of me, if not for the one who retrieved my body. Churning images of color are the only details I can recall of them. There came a flickering light and firm hands lifted me into the air as I lay devoid of any other feeling at all. Though my natural senses were failing, I knew I was moving upwards before a black veil overcame me. How much time passed between then and my next moment could have been seconds or eons. Eventually, however, it arrived. The instance of time when awareness flooded my system like a surge of electricity. Suddenly, the universe was unfolding before me. I understood life, death, creation and destruction, free will, motivation, sensation, even my own being. I saw the Earth, other planets, the stars and celestial objects, all aligned as they really are. I finally knew the warmth of the sun, the cold of the snow, of physical pain and pleasure, what they were and what they meant. It became known to me that I was one small creature in a vast, unending cosmos. Whatever flame reignited my life force, I know not its form or make. The spark could have been man-made, some triumph of modern technology, or from somewhere otherworldly, alien, maybe even angelic or demonic in nature. Perhaps it doesn't matter. Suddenly I was soaring high above the world, riding the wind into a renewed future. I saw the reflection of my eyes. They glow red now, the vitalizing fire still burning behind them. Now, how I ended up in the care of this human specimen is less compelling. I did not specifically choose to land on his doorstep. I would have picked a much more sophisticated man to share my new awareness with. Regardless, I happened to settle my tired claws on his windowsill as he was staring at a blank computer screen, grumbling. I watched him slowly type a paragraph and then stopped to read it over. My eyes followed the words on screen, processing the English language with ease. If I'd had lips instead of a beak, they would have curled in disgust. "Dreadful," said I, speaking my first human word. "What?" he replied, turning and finally becoming aware of my presence. "Dreadful," I repeated. "Utter rubbish. You'd best try that again." He gave me an annoyed stare. "Shouldn't you be saying nevermore?" How unclever and predictable. I would think someone of your mental capacity would be more alarmed at a species of bird speaking.
Look, there's a lot of insane shit going on in the world right now. Forgive me if a talking crow doesn't surprise me. Is there something you want?
I want you to type that awful paragraph over again. His scowl continued, but eventually the fool deleted his text and typed it differently. Better, but still revolting. No, 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 I scolded. Try it once more. So he held down backspace, took a minute to think, and retyped it a second time. He glanced at me and I shook my head. I hoped he could do better than that, or his writing was a lost cause. I made him try several more times until finally, I read a paragraph that was at least coherent. Acceptable, I sighed, but far from perfect. This repeated for the duration of his typing. Painful as it was, I kept critiquing until he shut the computer off and rubbed his eyes. He swiveled his desk chair and turned again to look over me. So, are you going to tell me where you came from, Professor Talking Crow? I laid out my story for him, carefully, making sure his simple mind was processing what I was saying. He got the gist of it, but I'm sure some of the details didn't stick. He blinked when I'd finished and began scratching his chin. That's really something. Do you have any, special plans? I hadn't thought much about what to do with myself. Until that point, I'd been imitating my mundane crow lifestyle, but I wasn't satisfied anymore. It was only wasting what I'd become. As my crimson eyes gazed at the frankly depressing human being in front of me, a solution to benefit both of us came to mind. Perhaps now, I said. The current state of your writing upsets me enough to take action. With my prowess of mind, I believe I can mold your work until it can at least be kept out of the trash. In return, I grant you the purpose of caring for my needs. You will provide food, tend to my health, and shelter me. Here, if this is what you consider a living space. I will also allow you to share your life and experiences no matter how sad and pathetic they get. Wow. We literally just met. Yes, you are indeed lucky. I could go anywhere in the world, yet I would stay here and let you be the vessel of my wisdom. Disappointing me would not be advantageous. He pondered over my words. Well, I guess I do need someone to bounce drafts off of, and it's not every day a mythical crow visits. Okay, I accept. Although it doesn't sound like there was a choice. I hopped from the windowsill onto his desk. The challenge ahead of me was daunting, but it would be a perfect way to test my capabilities. And his. I hoped, as I glanced around the dingy room, that my new companion would in time prove he had worth. I deserved a dedicated caretaker in my advanced state of consciousness. For starters, I will need a comfortable perch in here, and not something cheap and flimsy, I said. I also expect a variety of high-quality foods, including nuts, small meats, fruits, and— Whoa, you didn't even tell me what to call you, he interrupted. Yet another subject I hadn't considered. It was a human trait to name things, and never before did I have need for one. So I reached into my mind for a word, something that would fit a gifted crow and ring right in my ears when spoken. At first there was nothing, but out of blackness a name rose and came forth from my beak. Donovan. Donovan, he repeated. All right, fits your attitude. I simply know my status. If this relationship is going to work, you'd best learn your own. He scowled. I'm Matt, by the way, if you care, and I think it's going to take some time to understand each other. Still, I'll give it a shot if you will. I had to admit, something about him intrigued me, even if it was only that there was so much room for improvement. The word potential didn't fit. It was more the sense of pity one gets when witnessing a lackluster street performer. Very well, human called Matt. While you clean out a space for me, you may share some of your work. I will try not to grimace until you're done. Okay, your lordship, he said, starting to move junk out of a corner near the window. Let's see.
I'll start with this one about... Well, there you go. I always tell him his rebirth sounds like the intro to Robot Chicken. See, there's that dirty look again. He conveniently left out a few things, like how he spent 10 minutes hopping around the floor fascinated by different apps on my phone. You should have seen him when he found the internet. So yeah, Donovan lives with me now, constantly picking apart and criticizing everything I write and do, while not paying rent, might I add. Working together for the past few years has been an experience. I don't think we'll ever get to a point where he's truly satisfied with something we finish. We'll always have our disagreements, but honestly, I've grown quite fond of Donovan's company. Don't tell him I said that, though. His ego's already in the stratosphere. He never says so, but I hope in his own enlightened, bird-like way, he's fond of my company too. The universe is a strange thing. It grants you a gift and then lets you figure out the rest. Maybe you question why, or even sometimes detest what you've been given, wishing it was something more practical and less difficult to handle. Regardless, the gift is yours, and figuring out how to flourish with it is a journey only you can decide to take. Who knows? It could even change the course of your life. Oh, hear that tapping? He's hungry again. That or it's time to get back to work, if you'll excuse me. All right, I'm coming, you impatient bastard.